Our next slide is all about mapping the experience and really how to craft a calendar, if you will, that will outline the 10 to 12 weeks that the intern is with you. And actually make a quick note here. I reference 10 to 12 weeks only because that's the typical length of an intern assignment. That's about how long a summer would be, as an example, and it's about how long a quarter is. And so if you're offering an academic year internship, they're generally aligned with the academic quarter or academic time period. Or if you're thinking about bringing on somebody for the summer, generally speaking, they're available to work for you 10 to 12 weeks. So that's why I reference that time frame. They can be shorter, they can be longer, but generally they're 10 to 12 weeks. So your ultimate goal is to try to have a calendar in place. Again, if you've got a calendar in place that everybody's executing against, that means everybody's fully engaged, doing what they need to, and not sitting around wondering, what should I be doing today? There should be a lot of emphasis on that first week, and we'll talk about week one in more detail in just a moment. But that first week is so critical in getting them onboarded and up to speed so they can contribute as much as possible, as quickly as possible. The calendar should focus on key deliverables and milestones. There's a lot of project planning and project management that goes into effectively hosting an intern. And you want to make sure that they know what is due and when, so that they can make well-timed progress towards the end goal, whatever it might be. You want to make sure you build in and incorporate opportunities to give feedback and review. So whether it's weekly touch points, formal reviews, whatever it is, make sure you build in time to communicate to the intern how they're doing. Not just anecdotally, hey, we like you a lot, you're doing great work, keep it up, but really specific around the projects. Because if they're not on target, they need to know it so they can correct. And that they can correct with enough time to fix before the assignment is over. Make sure that you include any meetings that you'd want them to go to. Internal meetings, vendors, suppliers, clients, whatever it is. If they're already on your calendar and you know you want them to be involved, put it on their calendar as well so they can plan accordingly. Personal and professional development opportunities. You may be engaged with a professional development organization, a trade organization, whatever it might be. Is there any reason why you can't bring your intern along to that meeting? Particularly if the focus of the meeting, the career area, what have you, is of interest to them. It's a great opportunity for them to learn in kind of an informal sense. Company outings. If you've got off-site meetings planned, events that other members of your team and staff members will be participating in, be sure to include your intern. For the period of time that they're with you, they're part of the team. And you can consciously do things that either reinforce that message or not, for that matter. And every time they see everybody else around them going to a meeting and they're still sitting at their desk wondering why, it doesn't do a whole lot to build a sense of team and the fact that they're part of the overall effort. Community connection opportunities. We'd encourage you to think about, because these internships that you all are so graciously thinking about hosting serve a lot of purposes. First and foremost, it's about you and getting the work done that you need. It's about the students and giving them meaningful experiential learning opportunities. But also, every Columbus-based internship opportunity gives this region a chance to connect with that student and get them thinking about staying here upon graduation. So if your organization is already engaged in the community somehow, think about how you can continually foster that through your intern. Because you don't get connected to your community by sitting in your apartment, driving to work every day, and being at your place of work. You get connected to your car, your apartment, and your place of work, but you don't get connected to the community around you. You have to get outside and experience it. So if your organization is already doing things like that, plug your intern in. If you're not, and you're looking for ways to do that, let us know, we can help. But just be an advocate of this community. Get them excited about the offerings that Columbus has and the prospect of them staying in Columbus after they graduate. Whether they be working for you or someone else, to be quite frank, what we hope is that they stay and they be a part of this community in the longer term. Ask your intern, hey, what do you want to do this summer? Should that drive the experience? Absolutely not. Should it influence the experience? To the extent possible, yes, it should. Because if they get to experience those things that they're hoping for, they're going to be more satisfied, more engaged, and do better work for you. You're probably thinking, well, Dave, you're talking about figuring all this out in advance. How are we going to do that until they start? Well, again, you hire them, right? Then you set a start date. There could be several weeks that transpire between the hire date and the start date. Take advantage of that time to ask them, what are you hoping to get out of this? Incorporate that feedback into the larger plan. I'm sure if you pose the question, send them an email, phone call, or what have you, and you think enough to ask them what they're hoping to get out of the experience, they'll think enough to give you some really good answers. The last thing you should be thinking about is, how do you wrap up the summer experience? How are you going to end the thing? On the last day of the 12th week, are you just going to shake hands and say, thanks a lot, appreciate all the hard work? Are you going to have them, do a presentation of some kind? Deliver to a group of investors, funders, clients. Just think about it for a moment. This is 12 weeks they would have spent with you, quarter of a year. How do you want that experience to end? You want to take them to lunch? You want to throw a little party? Again, it's all about whatever you want to do. Our thought is simply do something. Somehow bring the experience to a formal close so that everybody sees a conclusion, and the conclusion could be the start of something new. What the intern does for you could be the catalyst for the next step in something, whatever it might be. It could be the catalyst for a new project kicking off, a new client coming on board, a new product being released. Just think about, again, how you want the whole experience to conclude. All of that is really just meant to serve as a framework for helping you create this experience and ultimately the things that would populate a calendar. Any questions about slide 7, mapping the experience?